Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week is the partner to last week. Last week I did the top 10 small size notes featuring Abraham Lincoln. This week we're doing the rest of them, meaning the large size notes, the notes that are not the small size notes. I do have 10 of these, and unfortunately some of them are replicas because frankly, they are just way too expensive for me or almost anybody to own. Some of them are actually almost unique if they are out there. So, trying to get a hold of these, well, maybe the replica is all you're going to be able to do. I do have quite a few of the regular notes, but I am going to start off with the replicas to get those out of the way because chances are none of us are going to get those. All right, number 10 this week, I'm starting with. This is a $20 compound interest treasury note, and you can see the picture of Lincoln right there. Not the same picture we're used to seeing. It was dated August 15th, 1864. Now, compound interest treasury notes, these were put out so that we could help support the Civil War. And if you look on the back, it actually tells exactly how much you're going to be getting. 6 months of interest was 60 cents. 1 year is $1.22, and it tells you here at 6 months the note is now worth $20.60. All the way to 3 years. 3 years, the $20 bill would be worth $23.88. So that was interesting to see that. Now, another cool part about these notes, this is obviously a replica. Pretty much all of these were redeemed, but you can see where it says compound interest treasury note and the 20, that has a bronze look to it. They used the bronzing powder and the glue method that they used for the fractional notes. You guys you heard me talk about the fractionals and the bronzing powder and the glue. This is also along the same lines. That's where they got the idea from. So that's number 10, the $20 compound interest, featuring, of course, Lincoln. Oh, and there's Spinner's signature, by the way. All right, number 9. Different picture of Lincoln. This one here is the $500 gold certificate. And this particular one, if we look over here, the series of, 1882. So there is Lincoln on the $500 gold certificate. And of course, it does have the goldfish orange back. It's neat because they put the D on the back. Everybody knows that an I is the Roman numeral for 1, and a V is the Roman numeral for 5, X is 10, a C note, C is 100. Anyway, the D, that represents 500, in case you were curious. M, of course, is 1,000. Anyway, the 1882 $500 gold certificate featuring Lincoln. Once again, another note you're probably not going to get a hold of, but still a cool note to have. That is the same image of the Flying Eagle as you see on the $1 FRN from 1914, I believe. Anyway, that one's number 9. Also a replica. Number 8. This is very similar to the compound interest note, put out at about the same time. This is a legal tender for $20. $20 legal tender note from 1864. And actually, if I bring these out and hold them side by side, you can see it is essentially it's the same picture of Lincoln, same design, but instead of compound interest, they have the green and the $20. Same seal, same placement of the numbers. Right here, same imagery. So yeah, the $20 legal tender, everything is virtually the same on it, except this was a legal tender. This was designed to be spent, designed to be circulated. One of the original greenbacks, and as you can see on the back, all of the green ink on there actually has a very intricate pattern. And this, of course, being a replica, all that stuff blends together. And that was the point. The point was that if you were to try to duplicate those patterns, they would blend just like you're seeing here. On the actual note, you can make out all the different designs. The $20, like I said, was designed to be circulated. The $20 compound interest note was more or less a savings account, but this was designed to circulate. So that one is number 8. Also a replica. Number 7. Here's the $10. The $10, I want to say, is from the same series, 1862 series, if I recall. $10 legal tender featuring Lincoln. I believe it's the same picture as all the other ones. These are also pretty rare. They are a little more attainable than some of the other notes. They can get up there in price, though, so odds are the replica is the way to go. Once again, you can see all the intricate detail in the green. If you were to see the actual note, all of those lines are separate, and you can see the actual swirl marks and everything else. Very impressive back on the note. So this one, let's see what we got here. Just reading all the small stuff. New series is what it says right here. Looking to see if it's got a date. Yep, Act of 1863. Does it say a series? On the replicas, sometimes it's very difficult because you can't read the fine print because it's a replica. This one just says American Banknote Company on the bottom, New York. Here's another date, but Spinner's signature is in the way. So yeah, this $10 legal tender. It is a legal tender, right? Yeah, American Banknote Company over there. That is the 10. That is number 7. Number 6, my last replica, and when I saw that I needed a replica for this, I started looking for one, so I'm sure I will come up with one really soon. This is a Federal Reserve banknote. This was actually the series of, you can see right there, 1918, and these are not that expensive. You can get these for a few $100s. I was just surprised that I didn't have one. Familiar picture of Lincoln on this one. The Federal Reserve banknotes, these were designed to replace nationals. They didn't really succeed because nationals continued until 1935-ish. Anyway, the point of a Federal Reserve banknote was that each of the 12 Federal Reserve banks would be the ones backing the individual note. This particular one is the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta that backs this particular note. And you've got the landing of the Pilgrims on this side and Columbus sighting land on this side. This one is one of the most affordable ones, and like I said, I was just surprised that I didn't have one of these. So it'll be on my list of pickups. That one is number 6. Number 5, one of the first real notes I have, not to be confused with the Federal Reserve banknote. This one is the Federal Reserve note. Okay, what's the difference between a Federal Reserve note and a Federal Reserve banknote? Federal Reserve banknotes were backed by the individual Federal Reserve banks. Okay, so this one was backed by Atlanta. But this is a Federal Reserve note, which means the Federal Reserve printed this. Okay, not a Federal Reserve bank. It was distributed through the Federal Reserve banks, but it wasn't backed by the individual Federal Reserve banks. This particular one obviously shows Lincoln there. You can read here, authorized by the Federal Reserve Act of December 23rd, 1913, and the series right here, series of 1914. So the very first Federal Reserve note, the very first version of our current fiat currency was 1914, and this is what it was. These generally all have the portrait in the center, and that's something you still see today. Used the same back as the National, with the landing of the Pilgrims on this side and Columbus finding land on this side. That one is number 5. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yep, number 5. Number 4. This one's going to be a surprise. This is my 1896 $1 silver certificate, my educational note. Now, everybody is going to be saying Lincoln's not on this note. Lincoln's nowhere on this note. In fact, it's George Washington and Martha Washington on this note. Why are you showing us this? This is not a Lincoln note. Au contraire, there are, I want to say 27 different names of different people on the front of this note. And if we look on top, Fulton, Calhoun, Clay, Jackson, Adams, Jefferson, Washington, Franklin, Hamilton, Perry, Marshall, Webster, Morris. I'm trying to read these. Hawthorne, Bancroft, Grant, Emerson, Faircut, and on this side we have Cooper, Irving, Lincoln, and then you've got Sherman, and I can't read the bottom one because it's partially covered, but yeah, there he is. There's Lincoln. Lincoln is on the $1 educational note, so this most certainly counts. Just because it's not a portrait doesn't mean Lincoln didn't find his way on here. So that one is number 4. Number 3. Lincoln is on the $1 1899 silver certificate. At a glance, everyone sees the Black Eagle, and that's what this is called. But there are actually 2 presidents listed on the note. You can see Lincoln over here and Grant over here. One of the more affordable notes. This one's in the $100 to $200 range, maybe a little more if it's in nicer condition. But yeah, if you're going to have a large size note featuring Lincoln, don't forget about the Black Eagle, because even though it's called the Black Eagle, it still has not 1 but 2 presidents, and one of the few notes to have more than 1 president. So that one is number 4. 10987654. Nope, 10987654. This is number 3. Number 2. I'm going with my favorite for number 2. This one is the 50-cent 4th issue fractional currency. This is the note that got me interested in fractional currency to begin with, because not only does it have Lincoln on it, but this was produced right after Lincoln's death, right after his assassination. 50-cent Lincoln fractional currency. Lincoln and Spinner got together to come up with the idea of fractional currency because people were hoarding precious metals. So with the post office, they made what was called postal currency, and that's also part of the reason why postage is actually considered money, but we're not going to go into stamps. Anyway, this particular note here, 50-cent 4th issue fractional, really cool note. I mean, the detail on the back is pretty intricate for such a small note. Because it's the first note to picture Lincoln after his death, it was always an important note to me. And of all the fractionals, this was always my favorite. It's the first one that got me in there. After that is Spinner and Spinner's stories and all the notes connected with Spinner that way. But this is the one that got me. So for me, this one is number 2 on the list. And finally, number 1. Number 1 is the Porthole 1923 $5 silver certificate featuring Lincoln. It has the porthole, the round circle around him. It looks like he's looking out of the porthole of a ship. Mine has the unfortunate rust stain right on his forehead. And that kind of goes with this particular note, because the porthole was not a favorite choice for many people. This is a large size note, and what a lot of people did was they would fold the note in half and then in half again, which meant you got a horizontal and a vertical fold right through Lincoln. And with this circle, you had the crosshairs, and people were not happy about seeing crosshairs on Lincoln's portrait. There's the back, a very similar design to the poker chip with the rays coming out like that. Anyway, one of the more expensive notes that you're going to find. I try not to quote prices in these videos because I have individual videos dedicated to these if you want more information. We're just going over which notes have Lincoln. So that one is number 1. All right, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.